I need to come over here. I'm going to edit this. This is... All right, are you able to find my stream? If you refresh my page, it should pop up, right?
Yes.
Sweet. Oh, my latency is not set to ultra low. Crap. Oh well.
Yeah, we can.
It's just going to be a bit behind. I can't change it while streaming. That's annoying. Can I? If I streaming. All right, how's the quality? Can you see the text? You're good? All right, go ahead and open up Atom. Let's snap things over. I just messed with it a bit, so you might have to refresh your page to see if the stream still works. If it's not working, it might be because you're logged in with your DSD account.
Yeah,
So
just sign with our.
sign out or sign in with your Reaper account. DSD has special protections for little kids, since this stream is not appropriate for children, according to the stupid laws that are in place. All right, so snap it to one side, snap Atom to the other side so you can have both. These streams will need massive amounts of editing to make into good videos, but I think we're just going to ignore that because that's a lot of extra work and I don't want to deal with that. Yeah?
Well, when I try and sign into YouTube with my Weaver, it says you do not have access to YouTube. Please contact your administrator for access. So I can't comment or anything like that.
So you can't be in the chat?
Unless
You have to be signed in to use the chat?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is there a way to change that?
I don't think so.
you could just make an alternate account. So it wouldn't be that difficult.
Yeah, same thing here. I'm incognito too. So.
Live chat, live chat, participant mode. Who can send messages is set to anyone.
Yeah.
But I guess that does make sense. Okay.
Yeah, DSD doesn't work with neither does Weaver.
Try your personal account. I mean, you guys all have personal YouTube, or not YouTube, Google accounts, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So it's not going to work with Weaver State. Interesting. Squid Game. So you can view it without being signed in, but you can't chat without being signed in.
Correct.
Correct? Yeah. Okay.
I can see how it comes in.
Right, and because this is a live stream, when you replay it, it will also have the chat that you can see. All right.
Social credits go.
Okay, let's... Are we ready to get started? Anyone have questions that need me to come over and help troubleshoot or something? Are we good?
We're good. So like at home, would we be able to like hear what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
social credit.
Okay, so I'm going to get started. So index. We're going to kind of review part 1 and part 2. As a reminder, especially if you failed last quarter, I might work on going to a competency-based thing if the school is willing to work with me for that. Get the work done. I'm not guaranteeing it will turn into credit or credit recovery, but I'm looking into it. Okay? So yeah, if you failed last quarter, you might be able to do credit recovery with me to get a P without having to do a full other course to get that engineering credit for that quarter. Let alone the fact that you need to know everything for the rest of the course. Let me pull up the website for the book. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, you can kind of see how there's a bit of latency, which I don't think is going to be too big of a deal for in class. Okay. Sweet, lesson 1. That's what I want. All right, I'm going to move this cord over here. All right, so I'm going to go through and I'm going to hit the main points of the main points. For all of the previous lessons, we're kind of starting from scratch. As of right now, assignments don't exist except for part 1 and part 2, which will be at lesson 1 through lesson 7,
Yeah.
right?
Isn't it 8? I thought it was 7. It could be 8.
I think 8 is a part of the next part. Let me.
Oh,
Is it?
I think, yeah. Yeah, it was either 7 or 8.
8. So it is through lesson 8. I will be going over the lesson 8 stuff. So part 3, part 4, all the other parts, all the other lessons, all the other chapters, they do not exist right now. I'm leaving them there because I have work in it that I don't want to lose, but due dates don't exist for those. If you don't have the previous ones done with full points, work on that. That's homework because class, we're going to be going through stuff. All right, so World Wide Web history, we're not going to cover that here. Let's cover what the basic tags that are needed in every single web page, right? First, you start with what? Doc type HTML. Like that?
No,
No, what's wrong?
there's no exclamation mark.
Like that?
Yeah.
Yes. All right, there is a shortcut, right? If you just type HTML and hit tab, it fills it out. But we're going to go through the process here of writing it all up, so we're just reviewing everything, right? All right, so doc type HTML. What's the next tag?
HTML.
The HTML tag. The HTML tag contains all of the HTML. Okay, inside the HTML tag, there are 2 other tags.
Header.
Meta.
A head tag
Body.
and a body tag. I should get a mechanical keyboard so you guys can hear the clickety-clacks in the videos. That'd be funny. All right, so the main tag is HTML. Then inside HTML, there's always a head and a body. Head contains what?
All the metadata.
All the metadata. All the data about the website. That will not be displayed, but it's how it works, how it runs, all that kind of stuff. The body contains all the content for the website. Everything that will display. And we picked that up on the microphone. So, in the head, what do we need?
Title.
A title. Every website should have a title. What does the title do?
Isn't it like name the tab?
it names the tab. So if I just say my page and I pull this up, let me pull it up real fast. This is in web templates. So if I double click on the HTML document from my files, I can see here that this is a file that I have opened up. This is the location of the file. The title changed what the tab was called. Okay, so let's switch back over. All right, what else goes inside the header?
The meta character set.
Meta char set. Oh, I just had you right there. And what is the default char set we use? UTF-8. Meta is a self-contained tag, so it doesn't have a closing one. It's just that. This defines what type of characters should be used internationally or locally for the web page. So you don't get the tofu boxes, right? The square rectangles when they can't load a character. Okay, so those, I think that's it for the basic for what the header needs, if I'm right. I think I'm right. I think we're good. Okay, so let's put that down. Let's minimize this so I can keep seeing stuff here. What does UTF mean? We got a question. Unicode Transformation Format version 8. Unicode standard. So if you look at the first standard, well, at least in America, ASCII Rickroll, funny, was ASCII. And it looks something like this. Because computers can only save ones and zeros, we have to have a way to define things that aren't ones and zeros as ones and zeros. So here, lowercase a is saved in a computer as a binary version of 97. But with an ASCII table, there was only 128 characters, which you can obviously see is not enough for multiple languages and emojis and tons of other things. Emojis are UTF characters. So we expanded that to the UTF, so I don't think it's full yet. I think we still have room, but yes. It has a lot more characters available than 128. Which is enough for, if I remember right, all the characters of all languages plus emojis. Derivatives. Yeah, yep. So here's the table for that, at least the first little bit, and how it works on Wikipedia. Yeah, you don't have to worry about the conversions because that's just what it is. We're just telling it the encoding. Okay, so inside a body, does the body need anything by default to work? No, because it's content, right? So this is the form, the basic things that every single website absolutely must have. Doc type HTML, an HTML tag that's opened and closed, a head tag that's open and closed, with a title, the title being whatever you want it to be, and the meta char set for UTF-8. Also, it has a body that's opening and closing. So if I select this whole thing and delete it and say HTML and then hit tab, there was one more thing that I should have added. Okay. That was really close to what we had. The only thing difference here is it also has our default language. EN stands for English. If you want your page in Spanish, you do ES for español, right? And other languages have different letter things, but EN is for English. I'm assuming most all of you, actually no, for your assignments you will be using English, please. I will not be grading other languages. If you want to make some websites in other languages, that's up to you and requires your knowledge stuff. I think German's GR or something like that, and there's French. No, French is FR. German might be something else. I don't know. But you can tell the web page what language by default it's in so that it knows for translation features and whatnot. I don't know what this stands for. The DR...
It's which way the text goes, because like some other languages...
Left to right. The direction is left to right. Okay. That makes sense, because other languages have different directions, top to bottom, right? For most Asian-style things. Okay. I haven't seen complaints when I don't have that, but I'm going to also assume that most of you, now that you know the HTML shortcut, will do this for the beginning of every single website you create, right? Because it saves lots of time. Okay, so let's jump back to the book. That's not the book. This is the book. Dun, 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 web browser, blah, 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 blah. Where they should be placed. Okay, so the only main thing other than the basic tags that go inside a web page that I want to point out about this is where files should be placed on a web server kind of idea. I've kind of hit on this, I mean, since day one, but since we're doing recordings now, we're going to hit on it again. Names are incredibly important. Sorry. Capitals and lowercases are different, right? So a default home page is always index.html. All lowercase. If it's not lowercased, it won't work. If you don't have the .html, it won't work, right? So when you're placing things inside folders, or I tell you to divide something a certain way, the name has to match what I say, otherwise you're making a different web address. Right? Since everything has to be converted into binary numbers, there's a different binary number for capital and lowercase of the same type of character. So if you type something in wrong, it goes to the wrong place. Kind of makes sense. All right, let's go to chapter 2. Structuring kind of ties in there. We already covered all the HTML tags that every web page must have. All right. Paragraphs and line breaks. A lot of this stream is just going to be review. So let's go ahead. Paragraphs, right? P tag. They are not self-containing, which means you need to have a closing P tab. This is a paragraph. Separate paragraphs. This is another paragraph. When I save this and go to my live page, paragraphs have a space separating them out because that's what we're made to understand. If we add a line break, that's a way to break up a single paragraph tag. So if I go back into here, and type that out, this will be on one line, this will be on another line. Line breaks, BR, are self-containing tags, and it looks like the W3 standard is to have them this way with no leading slash. So having that saved and jumping back to the website, we can see the line break. It doesn't put a space between them because they're not separate paragraphs. If I wanted to make it look like a separate paragraph, I would put 2 line breaks, right? But I don't want to. Okay, so paragraphs and line breaks. Organizing content with headings. Okay, so let's talk about headings. Let's just review stuff. Oh, that's not it. Adam. There we go. All right. Headings. H1 is a heading. Heading size 1. Is this the biggest or smallest size? This is big. I'm going to go big. Right? If I do H6, not that way, I can say, or to make it easier to see, we can just say heading. And let's just show how they all work. One, okay, H2 tab, paste. H3 tab, paste. Oops. And enter. All right, so different heading sizes. Saving that and going to our page and refreshing locally, we can see all the different headers. As a note for headers, you should always follow the order that they're presented in, right? You shouldn't have an H1 and an H3 without an H2. And the CSS styles the stuff, which is later, but this makes it easier for identification of different parts of websites, as well as moving through with accessibility options. For people that have limited eyesight, screen readers will need the headings to break things up. Actually, before we jump on, let's go to something else. All right, semantic elements. Let's add some semantic elements to this default page. All right, so header is a semantic element. Semantic just means that it contains the name of the tag represents what it does. So header is a semantic element. So I'm going to go ahead and indent these because I want my code to look pretty. Header is a good way to say, okay, this is the stuff that will be on top of every page. And you can use it the same header on multiple pages, or just to make it easy to say all this stuff is on top. A footer will always be on the bottom of the page, or whatever section it's in. You know what? I'm going to take my headings and remove them from my header because I want to. Nope, wrong button. It is good practice to not just put text straight inside semantic tags. It's better to have it with something else, because a footer doesn't just contain text. It can contain lots of different tags. Text, images, video files, multiple paragraphs, multiple headings. So making sure that you have those things broken up makes it easier to understand what's going on. Another thing that we also have inside stuff remind me, did the book have a good image for semantic tags? Sounds like no. All right. Semantic tags. There are a lot more than what we need to cover, but this is the general main semantic tags. Header, footer, nav, sections, articles, and asides. You can see over here we have additional things like details, figure captions, figures, mains, marks, summaries, time, and there's probably even more than that. The main point of semantic tags, however, is it makes it easier for the web page to know what to load, and it makes it easier for people, as developers, to know what's going to show up where on a page. If I'm doing stuff inside the article, I know it's going to be down here. And then there would probably be multiple different articles in most sites, if that makes sense. Most of these we're not going to throw inside this because we don't really have knowledge of navigation bars yet, or sections and articles. Do not do this. Yep. The main thing that kicked out these was people before semantics used div exclusively. So this would be a div, and this would be a div, and this would be another div, which you can see how that makes it very difficult to know what you're working in. Is this div meaning that it's the header, and this is the navigational bar inside the header instead of just a div inside of a div? Div for divider. Oh wait, no, I want that back up. So we got header and footer, navigational and secondary content, and then the main body of the content. Do they use main in theirs for the main body of the content? Let's find out. Oh, they do have good ones. It also helps you with your layout of your page or different pages, so you can use different tags to help you figure out how things are going to be laid out. Like this would be a certain page layout. This section would have its own headers and footers, whereas the entire page would have headers and footers as well. And then we could have another layout like this. The whole page has header and footers and navigations, but each article has a header and a section, and the section also has a header. And then there's a footer for the whole article. Right? If you have an article with multiple main points that you're trying to make, like with some news sometimes. Do we have another image? Yeah, it'd be kind of like that. Okay. I think that's it for lesson 2. Okay. Any questions so far? No? Yeah, we're just reviewing stuff and I'm going through it. I think we're going to keep doing this until we get caught up to give some of you that were behind from last quarter a chance to catch up better. So that when we finally hit things, everyone's kind of at the same spot. All right, cascading style sheets. They're cascading because there's different treatment depending on where you put the CSS code, right? We'll just use the book for this one. I'm not going to put code into this website. CSS for decoration. Do we have a good example of locations? We don't. So I'm going to pull up my Atom thing. All right, so here, if I have a style tag inside my header, this is for CSS. What is it called when you have CSS inside a style tag?
Inline.
It's not inline.
Isn't it internals?
Internal. Inline is when you have it in the line, right? Style equals quote whatever. That's inline, right? Because it's in the line. Inline, internal, and then there's external, right? You have to make another file that has a CSS extension. And there you do things like my paragraph tag will have the color of red or whatever, right? So let me just throw out some things here. I know how to do this. Okay, so cascading. Oh, I got to link this in. To link something in, you use the link tag inside the header. You have to tell it what its relationship is, rel. In this case, we're referencing a style sheet. And the location of that style sheet is the href. I want my style.css. And I'm going to go to, I'm going to throw this in here real fast. All right, so the cascadings. In my external CSS, I have the paragraphs set to red. In my internal CSS, I set the header to green. But the paragraph overrides that because the paragraph has a specific one. Not there, here. Right, so header, color, green. I could do, let's change this to footer. So you can see it actually work. Oh, it's not going to work. Footer doesn't have a color attribute, which makes sense because footer's not supposed to have text by default. Okay. In that case, let me change footer P. So what's going to get changed because I say footer P? Are all my paragraphs going to be green now?
No, just the one in your footer.
Just the one in my footer because I doubled up. All right, so we can see the footer is green. All the rest of my paragraphs are red. And this heading is blue because of inline. Internal CSS overrides external CSS, which is why this one's green instead of red. Inline overrides internal. So here I can say style. No. Control Z. Style equals quotes color pink. Now this is pink because inline overrides internal and internal overrides external. Okay? To combine things together, I already showed you how to do that so you can be more specific. Every paragraph in my footer will be green. I can do it that way and that works. Another thing we should talk about is IDs. ID equals ID because I'm not creative. ID. IDs can be referenced directly. By using a hashtag. Color, and then we have classes, which can apply to multiple things. And they don't even have to be the same data type. So here I'm going to have a paragraph and a header. To access a class in CSS, you start with a period. I'm going to change their color to yellow. Okay. I think that's it for what I'm going to review from CSS. As far as specific attributes, the book has a good list, so does W3 Schools. Just trying to figure out what you want to have somewhere and what attribute you want to change. Even professionals look that stuff up. Background colors, font styles. I mean, there's just massive amounts of information for CSS. Which doesn't even get thrown into this one because it was just introduction. We should, however, cover the CSS validation. No, that gets covered in 4. Okay, let's jump to the JavaScript. Okay, not going to cover that, not going to cover that. What JavaScript can do for your web pages, beginning and ending JavaScript. Script makes your web page interactive. CSS decorates a web page. HTML is content for a web page. So let's go ahead and throw in, don't think I'm going to do it. I'm not going to put in specific code. If you want to see specific code for that, you can look it up in the book or on w3schools.com. JavaScript has to go inside a script tag. So it looks something like that. Until you learn how to link external stuff, that comes later with responsive. You put the script tag exactly where you want the JavaScript to run. Any questions on CSS or JavaScript? Or the basic introduction stuff? I know a lot of you are bored and doing other things, whatever. I am moving on. This is the chance to review. Okay. Validating and debugging code. The assignments in these ones were really good for debugging, which is why I'm telling you to do them. Remember to use the validator tool, validator.w3.org. This is the HTML validator. You can put in your live website address here or do a file upload. Likewise, there's also one for CSS, which you can get to straight from this site. That can go by your live website or filed upload as well, to let you know if you have errors or things like that. For your live client projects and your live website, you're going to definitely want to make sure that you validate things. It's a very quick way to let you know if you have errors, like unclosed tags or open tags. So it's helpful for debugging, as well as making sure that your page actually doesn't have any errors or warnings, so things work out well. Okay, I think we're going to take a pause on this stream and we'll get another stream because we're officially into part 2. So I'm going to end the stream.